Coming up on today's podcast.
And we're hoping to launch it bigger and better than ever in the summer of 2026. So it's getting revamped at the moment with staff and resources and possibly even a new foresty type location. If it hadn't been for every person who's donated something to the charity, whether it's time or finances, we wouldn't be where we are today. Like Betty bought some butter. I could do that all day. He had said, who do you work for? I'm the CEO of EPIC. And he got parenting empowered autistic kids. And I said, yeah. And he said, well, I know that charity. My wife has used them and she works in schools. And so that was such a wow moment. Like,
Sorry,
no, I think I played with it too much and I've.
it's not fault.
No, it's good. I'm going to hold it now until our break.
This is the EPIC Podcast. Come tell your story. Join the adventure. Find what you seek. Step by step, reach your peak potential.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the EPIC Podcast, episode 3. I'm Carl.
And I'm Marco.
How you doing, Marco?
I'm doing good, Carl. How you doing?
I'm very good. I'm very, very tired. It's been a very chaotic month, but been feeling better now. How are you?
I'm good. It's just we were just sitting here before we press record on the podcast, and this is a hat trick for us. This is the third podcast, Carl.
We might need to start again.
No, it's all good. We're going to carry on, aren't we?
Oh yeah. There's no cuts on this.
This is it. This is an hour and a half of
pure unscripted, me fidgeting about.
Yes. Movement time. What do we got? We got new cameras here today.
Yeah.
We're in a new location, aren't we, Carl, today?
We are in the highly luxurious front room of my house.
This is it. We're moving it around today. And we are here today for EPIC, for Parenting Empowered Autistic Kids, to share with you information around supporting your neurodivergent child's needs, but also talk about the system, talk about family life, talk about what we got going on as a charity. And we're going to share that with you through this interactive conversation that Carl and I have once a month, which I'm still really glad we do it. So
I'm actually really proud of the other 2 episodes, considering how we normally just go off on tangents for about 4 days.
Yeah,
we've really kind of kept it together and. Although I think I've just jinxed it. I'm not going to.
Well, to the best, we'll let our viewers and listeners comment. But as you can see, we are back on camera, aren't we, Carl?
We are indeed, yeah.
We've enhanced the camera. I watched the first one, and after watching the first one, I thought, well, maybe we need to invest in a slightly better camera as well. So hopefully an upgrade there.
Yeah, it was an extremely last minute decision to put the cameras on the last episode. Because I'd already set everything up. Everything was ready for recording, and I was like, I've got another camera at home. Let's do this thing. Let's film it live.
Which took me about 3 weeks just to get the camera over to you as well. So,
yeah. And so the last time the second camera wasn't the best quality, but this one is a slightly better one. Anyone out there who wants to donate professional cameras to us, like 4K, 8K, even even better ones, feel free.
And thank you. There have been a lot of centres and locations that have been offering us their sites to use as well, to record as well. So that's something that we might take advantage of at some point. But thank you to, obviously, I've got to thank Hucklecote Hillview Community Church for the use of their community centres that they let us use for the sessions, support sessions we run every week, and also where we do our recordings as well. We do have an extra visitor with us today. We've got Loki, the Peak dog, who is supporting us, and he is also our guard dog here. So he's going to be making sure that nobody tries to break in on the podcast.
Yeah. So if there's any barking, it's not me. It might be me, but mostly the dog. So apologies in advance.
It's all that voiceover work you're doing. You're practicing ventriloquism.
Yeah, I can bark in another room.
Well, hopefully, if you're still tuned in. So yes, thank you to Hillview Community Church who let us use the sessions for the recording. And today we thought we'd start the ball rolling off by telling you, because we're approaching the Easter holidays and there's a lot of things that are going on. So I thought, Carl, maybe we could let people know what we've got going on with the charity.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the 3 is there isn't a fourth. There's no secret fourth. One of the 3 events we've got coming this Easter, and I realise that this video is possibly coming out at Easter time during the post-production and everything. However, the biggest one that I'm looking forward to is definitely the cinema.
Yeah, it's something we've never done before, and we've hired out a cinema in Gloucester at the Gloucester Quays Cineworld. It's on the 9th of April, and tickets are. I know half the tickets have already gone.
Yep.
So if you do want tickets and you're listening to this podcast, I suggest you scramble to our social media. It's the 9th of April, and screening starts at 11 o'clock. There will be no trailers, Carl, unfortunately. It goes straight into the movie. So make sure you're there. Yeah. We can't lose 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's like half an hour worth of trailers. It's like no child wants to buy a car, or like, yeah, that's going to be amazing. I'm so looking forward to that because it's a great movie as well.
Yes, yeah. Well, we thought we're looking at all the different films that we could offer, and we thought to myself, we thought this would be because it was a new release and it's stimulating as well. So it's going to be a special send screening of the Super Mario Brothers Galaxy movie. It's the new movie. So on the 9th of April, if you would like your child to attend a peak session supported by our team, then please make your way down to Gloucester Quays Cineworld. You can buy the tickets on Eventbrite. When they're gone, they're gone. Like I say, half the tickets are already gone already because when we launched it on our social media, it's a popular event. But I'm really looking forward to it. We've never done this before, and it's nice to bring the community together in an environment where perhaps has less sensory stimuli than other environments like our outdoor events. I will talk about those in a minute. So we're looking forward to seeing the kind of feedback we get, and if we get more support and a good turnout for this one, then we'll look to try and do more. But yeah, so I'll reel them off in terms of chronologically what's going on.
Yeah,
and then
the cinema's like the last one.
So first one,
straight to the
I know it is, and I'm excited about it as well because you and I love movies, and we're looking forward to this movie, so that's good. But the first one coming up is actually on Thursday, the 2nd of April. It is a Sen football session, and it's running in Hucklecote, and it is in Gloucester, and it is a Sen football session between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. at the King George V playing field. It'll be run by myself and some of the team who are going to offer football skills sessions to children who have an interest in football, because we get a lot of children that we've worked with who have some gauge and interest in football. I remember several, and I'm really excited about this. One of the lads who's hopefully going to come and he's going to run some coaching drills is a child that the charity's previously supported and is now an adult.
Oh, that's amazing. So
to have him aboard, he's a really great lad. I've known him for many years, and so we're really excited if that young man is able to make it, because it's that coming full circle.
Yeah.
I
feel like I've sort of come full circle because I know I keep saying in the podcast we first got in touch with Peak in 2023, and to go from being like a service user to now volunteering to help others in it.
And having released now the 3rd of 3 amazing podcasts, and many to come as well.
Yeah. Oh, many more.
Many more. And the other things we've done, like the 100-mile walk.
Yes.
And then if we raise 25,000 for the parachute jump, which we'll come to later.
Oh, we're going over with that again to remind everyone that I might jump out of a plane.
Donations have already started coming in, Carl.
I know they have.
With every donation you make, you'll make Carl sweat a little bit more.
Honestly, yeah. Really, my wife was, I think, the second person to make a donation. She knows how much I don't like heights. She knows.
Saw that.
It's like, oh.
And she went straight on the social. She's straight on the social and just was bigging it up as well. So,
She's my biggest supporter and my biggest bully.
Apologies. This is what happens on the Peak podcast. We go from tangent to tangent sometimes.
Yes.
But we'll talk about all these exciting things to come up. So we've got the football thing on the 2nd of April. And then on the 3rd, and we've never done this one before, we are doing an Easter egg hunt.
Whereabouts? At
the Gloucester Old Boys Rugby Club in Gloucester. It is a lovely venue. It's got a nice bit of land. Charlotte from the team has painted some incredible eggs.
I've seen some of those. They
amazing.
Look amazing.
I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but honestly, come along between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. To the Gloucester Old Boys Rugby Club on the 3rd of April, and you will have an amazing event and also a special prize treat for everyone who buys one of our Easter egg trail maps as well. We've got a special present for everyone who comes along to that.
Is it a free skydiving lesson by any chance?
Yeah, I'm going to skydive into the Easter egg trail with you. It's going to be the training one for you. But and we've got some other events going on that day, and that's been quite popular. That we've seen a lot of people sign up for that. Once again, all of that stuff is on our social media, so please do take a look at Parenting Empowered Autistic Kids social media. The 2nd for the Sen event, the 3rd of April for the Easter egg trail, and the 9th, we're going to do it the week after to spread things out over the Easter holidays. The 9th of April is going to be the cinema thing, which will be really exciting because we've not done that. Now, we did discuss also about doing another project, which we are currently revamping, because a lot of people have been asking us, Carl, like, what about Peak Forest School? When's that coming back? We love that. And it's an initiative we've run for a couple of years. We're currently doing a bit of a restructure there.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to launch it bigger and better than ever in the summer of 2026. So it's getting revamped at the moment with staff and resources and possibly even a new foresty type location. So we'll keep you posted.
So you've heard it here. They Peak are planting a new forest to make a forest school in.
This is it. Lots of trees. It takes a while for the trees to grow, but we'll get
a
it.
couple hundred years, it'll be ready.
Yeah, but if you did want to come along to the forest school at some point again, and I know we've had a lot of emails about, can we come back to the forest school? It will be running. It's like a lot of things, with resources. We do need that support. We need those donations and those contributions and the dedication of not just finances, but time, and individuals who volunteer their time as well to support these projects running, because we couldn't do it alone. It takes a village, and
in some cases it takes a city.
It takes a city. It's getting to that point. It takes a city.
It really is. It really is.
Getting bigger and bigger. Go on.
Whereabouts can people find where to donate?
Good question. So we have an active Give As You Live page, which if you type in Peak Give As You Live, then people can donate directly to the charity. But equally so, we run a lot of fundraising projects, and I know we've discussed them on the previous sessions and podcasts, that if you can either make a separate donation to the charities to support our causes, or you can create your own fundraiser as well. And that's also via Give As You Live. So you can make donations that way. We also have donation card machines as well. So if you're at any of our community sessions or the events that we're running, we will have our card machine. So if on the day you're feeling generous and you want to contribute to this great event or this great organization, though, you can make donations via Give As You Live or directly via our card machines at any of our events that we do, which is quite good. But if you are interested in running a fundraiser, or then the top 2 that are coming up right now is we've got some Peaks for Peak challenge, and there have been some families we're going to be announcing on our social media over the next couple of days, because we just released the video for the Parachute for Peak, as I know you saw. So that's gone up, and we previously released Peaks for Peak 2 last year. A lot of P's in this, so I'm going to try and say.
I think there's a theme.
Yeah. If it was B, it'd be easier. Like Betty bought some butter. I could do that all day. But yeah, with P's, it's difficult.
That was good. I can't think of words that begin with B.
No, but we had the interviews recently with the BBC, and Nikki, the BBC Gloucester representative, just said to me, "Oh, yeah, just think of everything that's titled with P, isn't it? Because we do Peaks for Peak and Parachute for Peak, and just keeping it within the consistency of the
I mean, was that
name.
by accident that all of it just it's a complete coincidence that everything begins with P?
I mean, I am married to a digital marketer, and we've got some great new people in the team as well. We've got Elaine, who's joined our marketing team as well. So I get a lot of ideas and hints, and sometimes these things come to you. Sometimes you've got a little person on the shoulder saying, "What about that idea?" So it's a half and half, and yeah, it's cool. No, I think they are cool names. If you have any great initiatives or any kind of titles that you want to share with us, please do.
Start with P.
They must, yeah, if you want them to start with P. So yeah, in answer to your question, a variety of fundraising opportunities to help our charity. And, for 5 years, Carl, we didn't focus on fundraising. We focused on solely doing the work, and the funding would come later. And we're different from a lot of charities, I think, in the way that we were so focused on getting the work done that we didn't focus on sustaining ourselves, which made things and have made things difficult for us in terms of sustainability, because we've been managing a lot with very little for years. So we do really need that support to keep going and growing.
Well, the charity is growing at such a rate. I think it was at the start of this year where it was getting towards 1,000 families helped, and now that's
gone beyond that.
Yeah, way beyond that.
I think we announced with the support of like the Brothers Trust, which was one of our big funders, and we recently did a shout out to them on our social media because they wrote an article about us a while ago, and we posted it because they've supported us for 3 years. And enabled me to go full time. And if it wasn't for that springboard and other organizations like Barnwood Trust who have supported us, you know, those grants have helped us continue. But equally so, if it hadn't been for every person who's donated something to the charity, whether it's time or financing, we wouldn't be where we are today. So we're thankful to everyone who's contributed in some way, big or small, because you have helped continue this charity going. And even today, I sent an email to someone saying that my role as the CEO and the founder having to transition away from the front lines, so that because we've got trained family support consultants that are taking on that role for me, and I've been doing that for a while, and me letting go, and that's been difficult.
It has, because we've had many a conversation where it's like, you know, you love doing, you know, the work because that's, you started it and this is what you know, and it's a change. You're having to go back, like take a back seat almost to run the ship.
Yeah, which is it's like I trust every single member of my team. I know they're more than capable. I think they're brilliant. For me, being a leader of this charity is very much about making sure that everyone who works for this charity has everything they need, and if they need anything to let me know. But equally so, I will support and back my team 100%, because sometimes we go through challenging circumstances, and I speak regularly with every team member. I like to touch base with them. We text. We have our WhatsApp groups as well, which we support each other, which is lovely. We even set up a peak parents group because we have families within this charity who have children with neurodivergent needs as well. So we support, and that's the great thing about our charity. We have professional and personal experience. Like today, I was sending an email back to Asenko who was asking us about, you know, the level of experience of our team, and I said, well, the great thing about Peak is that we have personal and professional experience within this world of Sen. So we're really a really good charity, and we've had other organizations come to us recently who have said, would Peak come and deliver training for us? Would Peak come and train our you know, alternative providers that are saying that, you know, can you come and train us up, and family support services. So all these people are seeing how beneficial and how valuable our service is, which is really nice.
Yeah. I remember you telling me the other day, you know, it was a really touching story, and I think you put it on your socials. In fact, I know you did.
Yeah.
Where you were sort of stuck, and someone in London knew about Peak and the work that you've done and helped you out. Do you want to? Do you want to tell the story on here?
Carl's relating to something the other day where I was flying back to London, and the flight was delayed, and I couldn't get a hold of the car hire company because I live in Gloucester, and so I had to travel from London to Gloucester, and it was we couldn't get a hold of the car hire place. They weren't picking up the phones. It was just disconnecting. I called another hire car company to go and knock on these people's windows and say, like, could you give them my number and just get them to call me? One person took the initiative, because everywhere else at the airport where I was, like, nobody was taking the initiative of showing that support. And this one person, his name's John. Shout out to John from Europe Car. He not only took my call, he returned my call and said to me that I am, because the car hire place closed at 11, and most places when they're shut, that's it, you're stranded. Got to figure it out. But he said, don't worry about it. You'll when you get here, you get here. And we arrived with the delays and everything about midnight by the time I got to him. So an hour and a half. And when I rocked up and spoke to him, he had said, oh, who'd you work for? And I said, I'm the CEO of Peak. And he went, Parenting Empowered Autistic Kids? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, I know that charity. My wife has used them and she works in schools. And so that was such a wow, moment. Like, we represent ourselves as a national charity that run local and national projects.
Balloons pop.
Balloons pop. No one's trying to break in. John's here. Is John here? But we represent ourselves as a national charity that runs both local and national projects. But that was, I think, for me, one of the first times, and maybe because a lot was going on that evening, I was tired. To have that was a real highlight. Yeah. And it gave me a nicer car too as well to drive home. So that was a treat. But yeah, John from Europe Car saved save my bacon. And the big part is as well, because the next morning we had a community session,
Yes.
which I was delivering and had to be there. So it was really great to have him there. And he talked about his children and with ADHD and neurodiversities and the support. And yeah, he was just a real supporter of the charity. But more than anything, he was just he was a decent human being who was willing to go above and beyond for others. And I think at the core, that's what this charity is. It's a bunch of people who have decided to do more than the status quo, to go above and beyond, because that's what is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And yeah.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
Because that's what heroes do.
Yes. Amazing.
But no, John was a hero that day. So yeah, that was a cool story. And we've had a lot of things going on this month with the charity. Let's catch you up on a little bit of peak. We had first time ever work experience for the charity.
Yes.
And that was really great. We had a school in the county who wanted to send not just one but two work experience people came up, and I think we've got some more in the summer coming as well. And for a charity, that was a new experience for us. I don't know. Do you remember your work experience back in school? Did you ever do it? Yeah.
Yeah. I was very lucky. My brother, who's quite a lot older than me, my brother worked at Comet. If you remember the
I remember Comet. Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I was like, I'll ask my brother if he can get me some work experience there. And that's what I did for 2 weeks, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And yeah. Interesting. Luckily, I had a KFC nearby. So
I think I did 2 work experiences. I think one of them was in a school, which was really cool because the head teacher contacted my head teacher after and said, like, can Marco come back? And I got to volunteer afterwards. And you couldn't get this away with this nowadays. I won't name the school. But they asked me to come back, and I was teaching their like PE lessons for year 6 students and IT classes. And there's no way nowadays with all the regulations you could get, a 16-year-old to be teaching a class of primary school students on their own. Yeah, it was in the late 90s, but
things were a lot more lax.
but that was pretty cool. And then there was one which was I was working in a zoo, and I just threw myself into it. Yeah, had a variety of careers. From zookeeper was the dream back when I was quite young. But a lot of work experience people, they talk about how they come and they just sort of hang around, and they might do some photocopying, and they don't really get involved in as much. But with these work experiences that came on, from day one, I said to them, right, if you're invested in this and you want to put in as much, you'll get in as much as you'll take away as much as you put in.
Yeah.
And we gave them tasks to complete as well, and that understanding of hybrid working as well, which was good. But they also got to come with us to a variety of different events that we were doing, and we got them engaged in directly working in tasks, even asking for their ideas and the collaborations on, like, how do we update our website? Or we've got these events coming up. Do you have any ideas? And really got them involved. They attended educational healthcare, EHCP plan meetings and such, and parents had given permission for them to review documents and such. So they were learning on the job, but also what I was really pleased about is they were showing initiative, ideas, and even if they didn't have the knowledge in certain areas, they were willing to try and suggest something. And I thought that gave me such inspiration for the next generation. And it turned out one of those work experiences had an EHCP as well. So they knew a little bit about the system, and it was great for them to see it from a different view.
Yeah.
So no, really,
see how much work that goes into getting it, and into having things.
Well, you know this from personal experience. Yeah.
I still struggle, and I still find it difficult to understand the document. It's so big and it's so complex, and the way that some things are worded. Me personally, I'm just like, I'm burnt out.
Yeah.
Reading it, but then I was like, I'll phone you up. I was like, oh, that means that. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, fine.
Yeah. Here's a question to the audience: have you ever had that EHCP in front of you, and you feel that sense of overwhelm where you don't really know what to look at? You got so much going on with the kids already, and you think to yourself, okay, I don't really know what to do. And for me personally, when this happens, I have to take a break. I have to say to myself, okay, now I'm going to sit down with a cup of coffee, and say, right, this is the amount of time I'm going to look at this, which isn't easy for every parent to do. And I think the thing that disappoints me is that we do have caseworkers, and I know they work extremely hard, but if caseworkers were able to allocate the time to sit down with parents and go through the HCP and explain to them what all the sections mean and how they mean them, and what information does and doesn't go into these areas, I think we would see a massive decrease in appeals if caseworkers were able to sit down and guide parents through the HCP. Because from my experience, and I've gone through many years, and all the parents I've worked with as well, maybe yours as well, how often have you had a caseworker sit down with you and go through your EHCP to help you understand what's in it? Never. I can't speak to a caseworker that I can recall would have had the time, because I know they work extremely hard, to sit down and do that. And it makes me think, well, if you're the caseworker, how, I know it's going to cut into the timing, but how tough would it be if an EHCP has just been awarded for you to have an hour consultation with that parent?
I don't think an hour is enough.
No, but a minimum to just go say, these are the sections within the EHCP. And I think there's a lot that's thrown on parents, and parents are already doing a lot.
It is a massive learning curve, and I do think that there should be someone other than this charity who will let parents know what goes in each section and just explain the sections, because you can read about it and not absorb that information. You might need someone to physically tell you about it, and you know, it's a whole new thing when you're starting at the beginning. So right, my child needs support. Okay, there's this thing called an EHCP, which is a legal process to get my child support in school. I don't know. I've submitted evidence. What do I do now? What are all these sections? Why is it worded this way? How do I evidence things? It just needs they need to hire someone to just help
that guide things. Well, and they do, to be fair to local authorities, they have, whether you like them or dislike them, sometimes it's a bit like Marmite, but there are additional agencies that work alongside with local authorities. There's advisory teaching services that work with schools. There's SENDIAS, in terms of organizations that are there to advise families. I think the problem is, like us and like a lot of organizations, it's the capacity to support, because whether you're a caseworker, whether you're a teacher, a Senko, whatever field you are in supporting children, you're limited. You're an unlimited resource. You're a limited resource facing an unlimited demand. And the problem with that is that when you are trying to go from case to case or family to family to support them, that creates challenges in the quality that you offer that family. And
you can only be stretched between so many before the quality
and
starts.
You do, but then you need to manage the everyone's expectations and what you can and you can't do. Now, the law has stated what the law has stated. Statutory guidelines and timelines have been put in place for a reason. And if those guidelines weren't realistic because of the resources that are available, then it's down to these organizations to challenge and raise forward, well, you need to increase the policies and the deadline dates, because we can't give realistic evidence to parents on why we're not meeting those requirements. That's only one side of it. The other side is that there are those who just have a lack of understanding that challenge parents on content that any rational person would question. And I'll give you one example of this, Carl. When you're dealing with an EHCP and an alternative provision or a provider or an educator, let's say a teacher or a Senko, someone who's a qualified professional, gives evidence about that child within that plan, and for whatever reason it's challenged by a caseworker or the local authority, and they ask the questions, what are the credentials? Now, for me, that seems like an unnecessary email and use of time. If you've got an accredited professional that's provided you a report, a teacher, a Senko, why are we not trusting these professionals when they know more about their field than someone who is, for all extensive purposes, administratively involved with maintaining that document? And that's sometimes I find the confusion here.
I think there's from our personal experiences, definitely it feels like stall tactics. It's like we could action this today and get things put in place. But what we're going to do, we're going to nitpick that one little detail, and then it's going to take X amount of time to try and work out that one detail before we get back to the main goal. And then by that time, that might have changed, and it creates this sort of almost endless loop of just waiting and waiting. And in the period of waiting, it's the worst feeling. It is the worst feeling of being in limbo, not knowing what's going to happen and what the next steps are and how do we move forward. It's like you're literally just stuck floating, waiting for a response on this one thing, or it's
I know exactly. Well, I share your with a lot of other parents' because this is the frustration, listeners, that people are having with and if you're a parent listening, you can relate, because it does feel like unnecessary delays. I mean, you've got statutory deadlines for EHCP reviews, but if an appeal's going on, there are challenges where parents are being told, because you've got an appeal running, we're not going to make any amendments as part of this annual review. And that's incorrect. And parents, if you're hearing this, that is not correct. You have to follow the statutory timelines and deadlines and procedures within these annual reviews. So if you get a caseworker or a local authority who, for whatever reason, is given some misinformation stating that they can't make amendments within the HCP as part of the annual review, that's incorrect.
Yeah, because there was that case where the LA caseworker requested that the parents request an interim EHCP review, which they did, and then that took a number of months to arrange. And then at the time of the EHCP review, the LA then said that they weren't going to make any amendments because they'd appealed a decision which had been made in the before,
which was a previous decision.
This EHCP review.
Yeah.
So massive time waste.
Or there's other things. Well, let's say a child who has an EHCP, so they've got the legal document, they've got that legal document that provides their education, and for whatever reason they're unable to engage in their academic setting. They're unable to get to school.
Yeah.
They've got school-based anxiety. They are struggling to enter an educational environment, and sometimes what they'll do is they'll say, okay, we'll contact the inclusion services and get the inclusion services involved. And inclusion, rightly so, is saying, well, hang on a minute, you've got resources via an educational healthcare plan. Why are you contacting us when you should be using those resources and allocating those resources tangibly to support that child's integration into school? Now, an inclusion service is going to have limited funding. They're going to have limited opportunities. Now, those services are more set up if a child didn't have an educational healthcare plan. Where could they get that support? But if a local authority is telling a parent or a school, we need to get inclusion involved in this, inclusion is just going to knock it back and say, well, hang on a minute, they should be using the educational healthcare plan. Like with CAMS, for instance, when CAM referrals go off to support social, emotional, mental health needs, one of the questions that they get asked is, why are you not using an EHCP funding to support this child? Or better still, if a child doesn't have an EHCP, they make the recommendation that the child should have an EHC needs assessment. And for whatever reason, sometimes those requests are rejected, even though a mental health professional NHS service has made that recommendation. And we as a charity, we see a variety of different requests with various difference of support, and we work within all the procedures and the guidelines and legislation to support the needs. But I think the difference with this service, and I've always said it, is that we will not back down. We will not take generic responses. We will look at the rationale that people have given to why they aren't actioning what these children deserve and their right is. And what we find and what we come up against is sometimes we're having to repeat the same things over and over again because we give clear responses back, and agencies or authorities are sure, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not responding directly. They're avoiding or evading our questions, and then we're having to go back in further emails. And to all those organizations, we're not going to go away. We're going to keep doing what is legal and is right for these children, and it would be a lot quicker for a lot of families and a lot less stressful, and most importantly, beneficial to the children that we serve if these agencies or anyone who is, for whatever reason, delaying the progress of a child has got out their own way and stopped delaying this for children. Sorry, I've said a lot of words there. Words.
It's fine, and it's absolutely right. And you know, the thing that's going through my mind now is that the support which Peak offers is tailored to the situation. Because the needs of one autistic child could be completely different to the needs of another. My two children couldn't be more polar opposites. Now, and that was one of the topics I wanted to discuss today is the differences in autism in boys and autism in girls, and ADHD and ADHD, and the differences, because they present differently. And again, they're not all going to present the same way. There's going to be differences per child, but they do have fundamental differences as well.
Yeah, they do. And they're first things first, they're individuals.
Yeah.
Every child, every human being on this planet is an individual. And so when you're trying to support their neurodivergent needs, you have to do that independently and individually. Sometimes you might see certain characteristics that make you think, oh, that's what my other child does, but they're still an individual at the core. And so for you, Carl, let me ask you this question. When you approached understanding the differences, what kind of approach did you take when you were trying to understand your children's different neurodivergence tendencies? Were they things that just sort of presented themselves and you made aware of it over time, or did you see similarities from one to the other? Or maybe in yourself, because sometimes as parents we think, oh, I do that too.
I tell you what, that's a whole other subject.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that one today, because
we'll save that for another podcast. Parents and neurodiversity.
Yeah, that one is a big one. That's
and the genetic connections. Yeah.
It now, episode 4.
You want to bring that up? Yeah, okay.
Definitely.
We might do that one live as well. So depending on the comments, if you want us to do a live one, please do let us know.
Yes,
because then we could get questions coming through as well.
That could be extremely distracting, but I love it, and I think we should definitely...
Let me take it back to your question, though.
Yeah, to answer your question,
yeah.
Right, there's... From where I'm at now, there's a lot of retrospective learning. It's like, so these... Yeah, behaviours for my daughter were quite subtle, but now, knowing more, it's like, actually... They're not. They're quite profound.
Yeah.
My boy, the behaviors, the behaviors were there.
Yeah.
They were very explosive, until a point where there was an incident at school, and then he shut down, and then we were seeing the dysregulation, and then the school weren't seeing the dysregulation. But looking back on it now, even more, it's like, no, they were definitely there.
They were always there.
And I'm still learning now. I still don't necessarily approach everything 100% correct.
Do you find you were doubting yourself based on what professionals told you? Because I found this as a parent. Like when my son was really young, I would trust the doctor or the medical professional on what they were saying.
Yeah.
And they were so wrong. And then you feel guilty as a parent that you listen to these people who had no idea. And that's another reason why I love Peak is that when parents come to us and say, this teacher, this Senko, this local authority caseworker, this medical professional has told me something, we look at it objectively, and if it's flawed, we'll tell them and we'll challenge them as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important as a parent that you listen to that gut feeling inside you, that if you think something sounds wrong or is wrong, trust that gut.
To begin with, I was very confused, because it was like, it was one of those, it's like, does he have it? Doesn't he have it? I don't know. He hasn't got a diagnosis, so does it mean he doesn't have it until he has a diagnosis? But then the more it went on, it's like, well, you know what? Every single professional is on board with us, apart from this one, and this one's kind of holding it up, and then... he's only got his diagnosis very recently, and he's just turned 13. And it's like, we knew for the longest time he had it. It took me a little bit longer to understand it, and I am still learning. It is really difficult sometimes to associate what autistic behaviors are presenting versus what I assume to be normal behaviors.
Well, it's also understanding what these diagnoses mean, and there are professionals to this day who still haven't given clarity. I watched a video in terms of the studies of a brain the other night, where they showed neurons firing in an autistic brain over what is considered neurotypical, and the colors that they show for the different neurons, and it's just, there's already so much that they still don't understand about the brain. So we're a long way off understanding neurodiversity from a scientific perspective, because there's still so much of the human brain we don't understand.
Yeah.
But what
I can imagine if they'd done that on my brain, it would just look like Pong, just like that one lonely neuron just firing around.
Well, I think it was the study I saw was the brain of an autistic female versus what was classified as neurotypical brain, and they showed, you know, there was a lot more colors on there than there was, and it was certainly towards the back of the cerebellum and such, there was a lot more colors. But, you know, I'm not a brain expert. It's going to take a long time. What I will say is that there's a lot of education to be done there. Taking it back on the conversation we're having, though, one thing I wanted to ask you is, and I think I had this as well, when you are trying to understand your child's needs or what others might think your child needs are, what about parental denial? Because I sometimes think that in the past, what parent wants to initially accept that there's a challenge with their child, and how difficult is that for a parent to acknowledge? Because we love our children, we want them to never have to go through any challenges. So to accept either from what we see or someone says initially that child, like my son had a speech delay, and I was always against that thought process initially, because I was like, well, I kind of accepted he had one because he was learning Italian, but not to the point where I'd considered autism at that point. I guess if I'm being honest with myself as a parent, you don't want to see it first of all. And I'm wondering how many people have gone down that road where, because you don't know about autism or ADHD or neurodiversities, and the challenges, yes, but also the wonders and the gifts that I think that aren't always celebrated. How much of that are we in denial because we're all trying to be neurotypical or the same?
I definitely think denial is possibly the worst thing you can do for a child that has autism.
Yeah.
Because all it does is it prolongs the support of that child and the needs required for them to be regulated and successful and happy. I think denial is a massive trauma.
It's a blocker, isn't it?
Yeah. Because one of the settings that my son was in put up so much denial, it caused a trauma which has lasted years in my boy, to the point where he can't go to a school, he can't attend a school setting, because of that trauma that was brought on by denial and unsupportive behavior.
But was that more denial of professionals who couldn't see? Because we get a lot of messages, but, you know, school don't see it because the child's masking in school. Or is that because I think I've seen it from parents' perspectives, I've seen it from schools' perspectives. Yeah. There's denial coming from all sorts of fronts. Yeah.
I will say that, you know, at first I was in a little bit of denial about it.
Yeah, I think I was.
Look back and I think, why was I in denial about it?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't change anything. It just hampers and harms them. But I
think it's down to awareness. I
didn't want my boy to suffer, and I didn't want him to be different. I didn't want him to be the victim of bullying or anything like that. I just wanted him to be happy and successful. And I keep saying successful. I just want him to be happy. Yeah. Now he is.
Well, successful is a part that leads into happiness, so that's a natural thing to say. But I think that any parent listening here, you know, if you are going through, you know, those doubts or those fears, education, that's the key. There are free government-funded courses on autism, on neurodiversities. You know, you don't have to pay for these courses. You don't have to listen to just one YouTube video. You know, there are resources, there are people you can speak to. But
I suggest everyone go on that course. It's free.
The level 2 in understanding autism. Yeah, 100%.
Even if you don't have any worries with your children, go on it so you can
learn.
With
yeah,
understanding comes support.
Yeah. You get an accreditation for free, and then and because of the world that we live in, you can spot neurodiversities. I was with a friend of mine recently, and he disclosed about his dyslexia. And for years, we used to work together. And when he used to speak, would have a little bit of a delay because he couldn't. His words were jumbling. And I learned something new about dyslexia in the sense that he couldn't get his words out with all clarity for the listener. And he would sometimes report back to his bosses, and they would ask him questions. And because of the pressure of being asked the question in the moment, he had all the knowledge. It made sense to him, but he couldn't verbalize it out. Yeah. And I thought to myself, wow. And it made me think the amount of times I've had conversations where he had stumbled with his words and delayed, and I would give a prompt word because the amount of time that passes. And I thought to myself, I need to work as a listener, because sometimes when people talk to me, I talk very fast, but just allowing that pause so that person has the opportunity to explain what they want to mean. Yeah. And that takes time for them. And sometimes you can help them with the odd prompt, but also letting them know. So I learned something new.
That definitely hits home with me as well.
Well,
so
I think it hits home with a lot of people.
Let me ask you a question. My brain's like, oh my God, I'm on fire now.
But it could be a variety of different things. It could be because you've got a lot going on. I mean, you're a dedicated father, Carl. You've got two wonderful children. A wonderful partner in life. So you've got all of this going on. Plus, you're doing this Peak podcast. You're doing all these things. It's natural for us to become a bit overwhelmed. At what point do we start to learn about ourselves? And I think whether you're doing the level 2, whether you're trying to understand your child, the starting point is you educating yourself. And if you choose to educate and learn about neurodiversity, you will probably enhance your life and the lives of others in your circle, because you'll have a higher level of understanding. So go and do it. Go and, I say, educate yourselves. But
free education.
It's free education. Take advantage. Other countries have to pay for this, so we're lucky.
It's one of the only things that's free in this country.
Well, this is it. This is it. Yeah.
But I if you can find the time, do it. Then obviously I'm not forcing anyone to.
No, but and also if you didn't know, you could contact us, you could contact other organizations, and we do these one-to-one connection meetings, and whether we do community sessions or at our events, people can have those conversations, and there are community groups that you can attend. If you're not ready to start learning or reading, or you don't know where to turn, it's about having connections with other people who are in these circles and learning from them.
The community sessions are
they're getting bigger and bigger, aren't they?
They are. It's so nice to see these.
Might have to hire an amphitheater soon. They're getting more and more people.
Well, what I've noticed from them is that everyone sort of goes through this transition process of this is my first time here, very nervous, and I'm sort of isolating myself. And then the more they attend and the longer it goes on for, they all start sort of coming into their own and being empowered. I know Peak empowered autistic, but being empowered and being in a much better mental state for themselves, so they can support their kids, and in a much better position to support their kids.
It is one of the singular joys of running this charity, is to see whether people end up working with us or whether they're empowered enough. And you hear stories later, and you might get an email, you helped my child many years ago and they've been doing great, and some things just happen, I just want to check with you, but they've been going for those length of time without you, or a tribunal that you've supported with the appeal, and now it's not going to court because it's been resolved because you gave that advice and that support. So the level of empowerment, and this is why it's really, really important, and we stress this, that as any service would probably say the same, we can't be there with you 24/7. And so we can give you the knowledge, the skills, the tools, the answers, but then you have to action them with consistency. And if you struggle with that consistency, we'll support you on that journey. We'll find other professionals that can work with you. But fundamentally, you're the foundation of your child's future, and you're their parent, and it's about getting you into the best frame of mind and empowered as possible, as much as possible, so that you can make sure you're doing well, so that you can do things for your kids. Because there's a lot of parents who will probably listen to this, and I get messages where they say they just can't, and sometimes schools will push back to these parents and saying, are you parenting them correctly? Are you letting them control you? And it can be really hard for a parent who's burned out, who's working extremely hard to support their child, to hear those messages. Yeah. And I see it from both sides. But a parent who is willing even if they've struggled and had it, but a parent who's willing to try a method or a suggestion that a professional has suggested that will improve their circumstances, those are the ones that see improvement in their lives. If as a parent you think you just can't, then those are the parents we need to work with as much as possible, because if a parent feels that they can't do what is needed to support themselves or their child, then that's a high level of service that needs to support, because there is a portion of those parents who just, I've had it before where we've filled in parental applications for parents working with them, and they've said, I just can't read this right now. And I say, well, okay, tell you what, let's take a little break. We'll look back at it, or you can read it, in your own time and come back to us some questions. But we look at adaptable ways, because we still have to empower that parent.
Yeah.
We're not always going to be there.
I mean, let's not beat around the bush, because parents of children with ASD and neurodivergencies, they're all overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It's extremely full on.
Yeah.
They're all overwhelmed. They're all burnt out, but it's a case of how to manage it.
How to manage it, yeah. Good point.
And just gain that little bit. Sorry, is your...
No, I think I played with it too much, and I've.
Oh, it's not falling off the table. Yeah,
no, it's good. I'm going to hold it now until our break.
Just push it on.
If I can put it in. Excuse, we're having technical difficulties here.
I was saying something really profound, and you had to go and break.
Carry on. Ignore me.
I don't know what I was saying anymore.
I'm going to fix my microphone. No, let's not beat around the bush. Is what you said.
Yeah. So the parents, they are overwhelmed.
I can't wait till we actually have our community session. We have a studio. Yeah. Parents are overwhelmed.
These mums aren't.
No, it's my fault, because I should have left it alone. I've been leaning backwards and forwards.
It's absolutely fine. I blame my cable. Right. Yeah, they're overwhelmed, and then with the added pressure, because they've got the child and the child to manage the behaviors, that can be overwhelming on its own. You've got to manage all the professionals, all the admin, and then all the EHCP stuff and all the legal stuff, and all, it's like having your plate, that very full plate, and then let's just keep adding just that tiny bit more until it all falls down.
Yeah. And
it can feel like the worst thing in the world. It's like, I'm losing my marbles this morning because my child knocked over a drink.
Yeah.
In retrospect, not the biggest thing, unless you're my daughter, who knocks over every drink she has ever. But it's not the biggest thing, and the parents, you need to cut yourself a bit of slack.
You do, and just because a professional says something to you like you're not doing, I mean, obviously, take it with a pinch of salt, take it objectively, and look at yourself later down the line and think, okay, is there anything that has merit here? But if it hasn't got any merit, if what a professional has said to you, challenging your parenting and such, has no evidence, has no merit, then when you're composed, you can go back and say, thank you for that feedback on reflection. This is the facts. Yeah. Because it's really hard for a person who's been, a parent who's brought this child into this world, who takes care of them, who supports them to the best of their ability, to then be questioned by a third party on how they look after their child. Yeah. And that can be, it's a difficult conversation to have for professionals. But equally so, I've been in many meetings where professionals could have handled that more empathetically. I know us as a service, we ask those questions all the time, but we do it in an empathetic way, in a reasonable way, to say, if can I ask, if you were asked this question, but, have you done this, this, and this, what would your answers be? And if we find, okay, maybe there's something that they haven't tried, we can deliver that. What are your considerations? What are your thoughts about trying this? If a parent was completely like, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this, to me, that demonstrates a parent who's really burned out, who's really struggling. Yeah. And so the priority then becomes, how do I support this parent's mental health well-being? Because if I help this parent, they'll be in a better frame of mind, who can then help the child. And parenting empowered autistic kids, it starts with parenting, because we understand that the parents have to have that level of knowledge, that level of support. As much as we could work directly with the child, they still have the parent in their environment. And if the parent isn't operating at peak efficiency, there's a pun, what kind of care can they offer their child? So it's really about supporting symbiotically the parents, the child, even the professionals at times, because they have to. But we start with the parents, because They're the foundations.
Yeah, and there isn't, obviously if professionals are coming back with you with things like, oh, what are you doing to discipline your child?
Oh yeah.
That sort of comment is out of order and needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
But,
think before you speak is all I'd say to a lot of those people.
The simple fact that the parent has attended a meeting to advocate and to ask for support for their child is, they are putting in the effort. It's like, if they didn't care, they wouldn't go to the meeting. They'd just let it rattle on.
They wouldn't be asking for help if they didn't care. And I know that many people will say, because I'm trying to think of all the responses that people say nowadays and all the controversial comments. And one of them say is, oh, look at the society we live in. Look at everybody has, information at the drop of a hat. And, there's a lot of people trying to gain advantages in the system or jump the hoops. No, they're not. These people just want what's best for their children. And if they're struggling, and you are a professional, you have knowledge they don't have. Perhaps you should share that knowledge in an empathetic way and work with that person. And I think we've said this most of the podcast, whether you're a caseworker sitting down and discussing that EHCP with a parent, because a lot of the time they say, well, the school can discuss with them, the Senko can do that. Well, I think we all need to go a little bit above and beyond in our duties to support as much as we do. I mean, for goodness sake, we're a charity and we operate 12 hours a day, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And many of our consultants are sometimes working, I know I was, until 2 o'clock in the morning. So if we're a charity going above and beyond, I question any professional who's getting paid who doesn't think that every now and then they should go a little bit above and beyond for that one or two parents. I'm not saying you have to burn yourselves out. I'm not saying you have to overdo it. But there are times when you need to maybe step up and think, what's the goal? What's the target here? Is doing what's best for this child more important than, I don't know, the allocation of this resource or such, because I'm under tight financial constraints and such. I know some professionals will say, well, you're making that statement, but you don't understand fully what we're dealing with. And you and I have discussed this before on podcasts. If agencies, authorities, educational providers don't have resources, what should they be doing? Finding them, looking for them, asking for help to get them. And if they don't know, and you've got charities like ours rocking up and saying, this is what we can do to help you and find them, and we'll support you within these challenges, then they need to take advantage of the offers that we are presenting, rather than sitting back and saying, I've just got too much on my workload. Especially if it's free. If you've got free support, why wouldn't you accept it?
It brings back to the fact that EPIC's growing at such an exponential rate. That now we're looking for more volunteers, aren't we?
We are, yeah. That's a really good thing. I know. Thanks for doing this before. I don't know if we're going to take a break soon, but how are we doing on time? We're okay.
Yeah,
we're good. Well, I'll carry on. I've lost all track of time, so I enjoy doing this.
This is going to be like a 4-hour long one. At points, there's going to be like tangents going off, so there's no set time for this one.
It's because it's the Easter holidays now. We don't have to pick up our kids, so we've got more time. But going back to the point, we are growing as a charity. We do need that support, and if you are listening and if you want to become involved with the charity, please do sign up, and you can email contact@parentingempoweredautistickids.com. You can contact us via our website as well, but we need support in administration because we get so many referrals through, and it could just be sifting through emails and helping us allocate those to consultants. We are training. We offer that free training to people who want to become experienced in SEN advocacy. For free, you get that training as being part of a volunteer of a charity. So if you want to become a family support consultant, we will train you up. I've trained some great consultants who are now doing great work, and they're now training consultants. So you get that level of skill that you might want to take on after the charity, but you get that level of free training as a family support consultant. Even if you just want to dedicate 1 hour of support to a cause that you believe in. I mean, we're looking for people to help with events. We've got Peak Day on the 11th of July, I think is our provisional date that we're looking at, and we're going to be looking for people to come and support that event. And it just be running a stall, standing around, helping another Peak staff member. We've even had the work experience students that came who have asked, can we come back and volunteer? And that really impresses me. The next generation's already signing up and saying, and they've got no connection previously to Peak. They just believe in what we're doing. So if you're a parent who's used our services before, or someone who believes in what we're trying to achieve, please do contact us, because we need your support. We're growing incredibly fast. We're trying to meet the need, and without that 1 hour or more that you could give, it's a real challenge for us. But if you are able to give that 1 hour or more, you could be the difference. That 1 hour you give helps, and I kid you not, it helps a child's life improve, and I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah, that one bit of advice or that little amount of time can change someone's life.
Yeah, so please do sign up and volunteer with Parenting Empowered Autistic Kids. We need the support. We have a variety of different areas that you can support in. So whether it's finance support, marketing support, administration support, family consultancy, events management. There are such a variety of things that we do with this charity. So anything that you think you can offer to aid the charity, I guarantee you would be a great asset to us. So please do think about it. And if you're sitting there thinking, I'm not sure what I could give the charity, well, do you know what? Contact us anyway, because we've had conversations with volunteers in the past who just want to help. They're not sure how they can help, but they want to help. And sitting down in those consultations, we've discovered skills and strengths that they have, and then they've been able to then apply those strengths to help our charity grow. So if you're not sure how you could help our charity, still get in touch. All you need is to want to help and say to yourself, I'm going to dedicate at least, if it's 1 hour, it's 1 hour, but whatever you can consistently dedicate for us, we'd be grateful.
Beautiful.
Was that enough of a sales pitch there?
No, that is fantastic. On that note, shall we stop for a quick break?
That's a good idea. I've run out of tea.
I'm parched, my cup of tea is empty, and I require sustenance.
I do indeed. The mouth is dry, and the
Yes.
tea is empty. Oh, there's a little drop in there. I'm going to have it.
Right, we are going to stock back up on some caffeine, and we'll be right back.
See you in a bit. Bye.
Awesome. Right, we are back.
Round two.
Are you refreshed and
I am. Stretched our legs.
caffeinated?
Caffeinated. An extra coffee or tea. Or have I got tea or coffee? Whatever. I just drink whatever you put in front of me, Carl.
I don't even know what I made anymore. It's some kind of weird concoction.
It is non-alcoholic. I can say that.
Yes.
Yes.
No, yes, it is. Yeah.
No, a nice cup of tea I'm going to have now. But
it's amazing how caffeine fuels the body.
yeah, so a good a stimulant when you need it.
Yeah,
Which is interesting.
Just plug it into my veins.
Yeah.
I need it all the time.
I think I saw that was it a cartoon once that said, just hook it to my
Yeah,
veins.
Simpsons.
Oh, is it?
Barney, yeah. He wins a lifetime supply of beers. Like, just plug it in my veins!
Oh, thank you very much for joining us back on the Peak podcast. We are now picking up, and we're going to be doing some questions soon, aren't we, Carl?
Yeah, question time.
Oh, question time. Shall I go through the questions? I'm going to ask the questions today.
Oh, God, okay.
So we've had one question come through, Carl, which is in relation to when things go wrong. And the question has been asked, when a local authority reject something that I've requested for, should I go through mediation first, or should I go straight to appeal? What are your thoughts on that? Mediation or appeal?
Right, so there's a couple of different ways of looking at this. Mediation will be my preferred method to start with, because the mediation process is quicker. You will have a meeting quicker, and you can hopefully come to an agreement following the mediation. If that fails, then the tribunal and appeals process is your next option, purely because if you go directly through to tribunal, you've got that massive wait time before you get the hearing, and you have to get all the evidence and everything done in that space of time. But it's a longer period of time that the child is going without the support that they need.
Absolutely, I agree. The problem with appeals, and a lot of people might advise you go straight to your appeal, but the reality is when you go through an appeal, there is potentially up to a year's wait or longer. Yeah. So mediation does give you that option. Another couple of things that you can look at is if you've had a rejected offer, the caseworker is the first point of contact. They would have contacted you and said that the decision hasn't gone within your request, in favor of your request. You still are allowed to communicate with that caseworker caseworker. Now, if you're able to get a hold of the caseworker and have perhaps a meeting with them prior to mediation, that would be ideal. For most caseworkers, because they're quite busy, mediation is going to be your first port of call. But I would say that anyone who has had a decision rejected, initially go through mediation and contact the designated mediation service that local authority work with. If you don't get it, sometimes this does happen. If you don't get it within the appeal letter, you can ask the local authority for it, because sometimes we've had rejection letters come through, but they haven't added the appeal rights or the mediation details in there. So we advise that if you don't know, to contact your caseworker and ask them within your different county, what are my mediation rights here, my appeal rights.
You're perfectly fine contacting the caseworker and asking information. Like if you were awaiting a panel decision and you've been informed that they've rejected it, but it hasn't said why or what's the rationale, contact them, because you can ask that question, and don't just go on the face value that it's been rejected. Okay, well, that's that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The first thing to do is, okay, take they take that decision, look at it, look at the rationale that's been given. Understand that. If you're not sure, you can contact us. We always advise that you should take the time to try and understand it yourself independently. We always believe in empowerment. But at that point, almost instantaneously, if you are strong in your resolve that this is what your child needs, then you should be applying for mediation straight away. The concern and the reason why we're saying mediation before appeal as well is that if you apply for your appeal first, it could be that local authority will then assign a tribunal caseworker and such, and it means that sometimes there's a delay in getting that resolution because you're working with multiple caseworkers. So we suggest mediation first because it gives you an opportunity to discuss the matter with your caseworker. If it's for an EHC assessment, there's the possibility that decision might be overturned either prior or at the mediation, because we've successfully supported families in that, working with the local authority to get that assessment overturned. So you're not waiting a year. That can happen within about 4 weeks. Mediations are, depending on different mediation services, you can get that resolved. And if you want us to attend your mediation to support parenting empowered autistic kids, we do offer that service of supporting mediations.
Yeah, I would highly recommend that, because it can be extremely nerve-wracking and daunting going into these mediation meetings, and having someone there as an advocate, it really does help. Was I
at yours? I can't remember. Was that there? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago. Yeah, I vaguely remember it now, actually.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I've said this like plenty of times. We wouldn't be where we are with Alexander's support, even though we've got quite a journey ahead of us still. We wouldn't be where we are without EPIC.
That's right, because we got it overturned in mediation. Well, there you go. You've heard it here first, folks.
Sorry, this is bugging me. Right, hang on. Sorry, I need to adjust your camera.
Yeah. We've had a lot of technical issues on this, and it's because I've been bouncing around a lot today. I did knock it earlier as well.
How dare you knock it?
So
there
yes.
We go. Now you're in the middle.
Now some people are going to go, no, go straight to appeal. Go, what are you talking about, EPIC? And we say, well, okay, you can go to appeal and you can start that ball rolling, but you have to be clear on what you're appealing. You have to understand what the local authority are challenging, and most of those letters are quite generic. If a panel has made a decision, the first port of call is to understand that panel's decision to the best of your ability. And if you filed an appeal based on just what you've already submitted and their understanding, then there could be missing pieces of information that you need to get before you file your appeal. Best suggestion I can give is that if you are so strong and you don't want to go to mediation and you want to go to appeal, then discuss it with a third party, not just the local authority or yourself, but maybe your school Senko. Sendias is an option, and of course Parenting Empowered Autistic Kids. As an independent entity, we can give you a very objective viewpoint because we're not associated with any one agencies, and that's why a lot of people who use us in mediations or tribunals, we're so successful with them, because we're coming from a completely independent viewpoint that is experienced and accredited in dealing with these matters.
So what holds more weight? A mediation or the tribunal?
Well,
I know that it sounds as though a tribunal carries more weight, but then it's not necessarily about, it doesn't necessarily need to get to the stage where a tribunal's necessary.
No, not necessarily, because the reality is that when you have, the parents have their perspective and the local authority have their perspective, or their positions, I should say. There's the parents' position, there's the local authority's position, and you're trying to come to an amicable understanding for both parties, because there's a missing piece of information somewhere there, because parents didn't make these applications, or the schools, for no reason. There's a valid reason. It's just whether or not their valid reason is within the understanding of the procedures of the local authorities. So the first point is to get that understanding, and mediation gives you that opportunity. But there's also if you're working in an appeal and there's a working document, there's that conversations that you can be having with the local authorities. And even if you did file an appeal, you can still keep those collaborative conversations going as well, because there are many appeals that get resolved prior to tribunal. I can successfully say out of I stopped counting at around 170, but
that number's much higher.
Yeah, in terms of, we've done a lot of tribunal appeals. We've done a lot of ones in hearings where we've been present, but I would say a vast majority, I'd say we've only had to attend a third of the hearings because we've resolved the matters prior to actually being in the hearing. Nobody wants to unnecessarily waste resources and time and energy by being in hearings when these matters can be resolved prior, and the child will only benefit if you're able to resolve that quicker. So as a parent, what I would say, try to find the most effective and efficient way of resolving the matter as soon as possible, because you're trying to get that matter sorted out for your child, and explore mediation, explore using services like ours, or those conversations with your caseworkers prior to getting those decisions overturned, hopefully in the child's favour. And equally so, just be really clear that if you are filing for an appeal, you're clear in your evidential understanding of what it is you need to present. If you don't know, you can ask us.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. That was a great question. Thank you very much, whoever gave us that question. Moving on, we've got another one. Are you happy for me to keep giving you the questions, Carl? I'll go.
No, I'm not.
But I'm going to do it anyway.
Foot down. No, I'm not the one you need to ask the questions to. I want to ask the questions, but
I know, but I've got one for you anyway, and I think you will be able to answer this question. So this is something record this moment, folks. Here it comes. Siblings, Carl. Yes. Siblings. Okay. Yes. How can I support my other child who is a sibling of a neurodivergent child, because there's a lot of clashes, there's a lot of arguments and such. And so the question is, how do I support the siblings in my family?
The first port of call is support yourself.
Oh, good answer.
You are useless to anyone if you are burnt out and just mentally overloaded. So it's like the analogy of whenever you're on a plane and you've got the safety thing, affix your mask before affixing the child.
Yeah.
Because if you've passed out, you can't help anyone. So if you're burnt out, you can't help them. It can be extremely challenging if you've got two or more children and their needs are very, very different. You need to know what your child's triggers are, and you need to come at them with a lot of patience, and it takes a lot of learning to know what your children's triggers are. If you've got a child who let's take, for example, PDA profile.
Yep.
And you want them to perform a task, something, for example, simple, like unloading a dishwasher, and you can't just give them the command. You can't just come at them, oh, you need to do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. You need to do it now, because there's no reward in it for them. They need to be able to value what they are working towards. So you could offer them additional screen time on a tablet or on a computer or something like that. So it's about how you present the request in an undemanding way. So say, oh, if you could help me out by doing the dishwasher, I'll give you an extra 20 minutes on the tablet. And it's then putting value in the reward rather than the difficulty they have with the task. What do you think?
No, I agree with you. And I think the first thing I agreed with you was a really great starting point, which is about looking after yourself. Because the reality is anything that you want to do with your children, we said this earlier on the podcast as well, talking about the foundations as parents and what we need to be doing and why we support parents. But you've got to have that model that they can replicate and follow, because children are looking at parents and thinking, okay, well, how do you manage these situations? Can I replicate any of that? Obviously, they're individuals. They're going to come up with their own methods and such. But I think for siblings, you're looking at them individually. You're looking at their interests. You can sit down and do some activities with them, like timetabling certain events so that if you have a neurodivergent child who understands that this is my time and this is their activity time, or if you were sharing the television or the computer console, these are the times that they get. Now, it may cause meltdowns. They might not, but they have a visual understanding of when these things are happening as well. I've obviously got 3 children, and whether I'm doing car journeys and such, I sometimes, there's what one example I could probably give is that my son is quite tactile. He likes to give a lot of hugs, likes to give a lot of tickles. Not everybody likes that. Yep. And so it can distress the other siblings because when they don't want any physical contact. So I have to have the conversations with my son about that in terms of like keeping our hands to ourselves. And there are times if you need a hug, Daddy will give you a hug and such. But giving him that information, if I'm driving the car, I can't give it to you right now. Sometimes I might sort of pull to the side of the road. And,
to put it into context, so what do you do if you are feeling overwhelmed and you don't,
me as a parent,
if you're feeling overwhelmed and your son who wants that bodily contact wants a hug and you're just not prepared for it, what would you do then?
It's tough because I can give you 2 sets of answers here. There's the times where I push past it and I just, because I'm exhausted or I just don't want to be hugged for whatever reason, to allow it, even though in the back of my mind I'm thinking, oh God, this is really not the right time, and I push past it as a parent, which we've all done. There are other times where I've had to explain to my son, not now, and I think sometimes we can only give what we have. And if you genuinely think that you meeting a demand for your child is going to come at the detriment of your you reacting in a certain way, then you need to take a step back. You need to prepare yourself. You could say to the child, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you what you need in just give me 2 minutes, but I will come back and I will give you that hug, because then you can take those 2 minutes away and prepare yourself. I'm tired, I've had a long day, but I mean, most of the time with hugs, I'm a hugger, so I will hug.
It's fine. I mean, my daughter is very tactile as well. She will climb on.
I like that, my daughter.
Yeah, my daughter.
My tactile daughter.
She's very tactile. She wants to wrestle and climb on me and just be on me.
Oh God. I don't know about you, but I'm getting older now. I'm getting a few kind of like, my daughter whacked me in the arm the other day, and like I feel like, oh God, is that the collarbone?
She likes to sort of play wrestle, and she's got cannons like for legs. She will kick.
Do not let your children beat you up. That is an important thing here.
Obviously, there's many self-defense classes.
Safe hands that they teach in schools.
I forgot where I was going with this, but there's times where I'm overwhelmed and I explain, I want my bubble. I need my bubble space. You're entering my bubble, kind of thing, and it feels horrible. It really does, because afterwards you think, just play. It's like, but at the time it's like, no, I'm exhausted. I'm overwhelmed. I just need that 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And you said it the other day. At the community event, it's like, look, in 10 minutes. You can either have me now tired and overwhelmed, or you can give me 10 minutes and I can be super dad. Yeah, it's hard to get that information.
Let them know the quality they're going to get. And you could do this with a variety of different things. And we're going back to the sibling question. If you're having challenges with your siblings, if you give them information in a visual that they can understand is an ideal way, then they're then presented with the options of like, well, I can have what I'm going to get, or I can have something better. And then they can decide. They're in control of that. Now, if we're dealing with PDA, for instance, as a challenge, too many options might cause anxiety or overwhelming them, but they're aware of the options regardless. You can present that information in a variety of different ways. I think if you're on top of which dealing with a child with PDA, just making sure that your communication style is more about availability of options as opposed to direct requests where I'm telling you this is what you're going to get, this is how you're going to get it. And also, and you and I spoke about this in the break, allowing children the time and parents as well, helping our children understand that parents need time to process as well before requesting that response automatically from them. You know, if my child asks me something, I say, I'm just thinking about it. I'm just thinking, I'm not saying no or yes, I'm just thinking about what you said so I understand it, and letting them know that, because then they might replicate your communication style and do that. And then hopefully siblings will as well. I see it with my children all the time when they argue, and I try to educate them in terms of how to, it takes a long time, but I see it with my daughter now. She very much will try to show empathy and understanding and different communication styles with her neurodivergent brother, or possibly brothers. We're not sure. The young one is still quite young, but that adaptability is really important when you're working with siblings, and treat them like individuals.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I do have another question.
Okay.
But I know it's a bit of a tougher one. So
no.
if you like, I would like to get your thoughts on this though. So I have had a parent ask this question that has come through, and it's my child's 16 years old.
Okay.
And has to take ADHD medication.
Right.
And refuses to take medication. But when they don't take their medication, things are worse. And then we'll kick off, and then there'll be arguments and sometimes fights with the siblings and such. What can I do as a parent to help my child take his medication and do what he needs to do? Now, that's a bit of a tricky question because they're getting older now, and they're physically stronger as well.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on it? No right or wrong answers here. What are your thoughts on it?
There's a couple of ways to sort of come at this. First of which would be to obviously consult with the GP to find out if it's the right medication, or if there's a different method, whether it be like a tablet or an oral solution. Maybe it's something sensory in that. It could be a case of, are they simply forgetting to do that because it's not a priority? With things like medication and I don't know, general sort of self cleanliness, things like toothbrush and hairbrush, things like that, it can be difficult to actively motivate yourself and remember to do these things, because distractions will happen and your mind's going a million miles an hour and you're bouncing from one thing to the next reactively. There's what we tend to do personally, and it might not work for others. We have Alexa and we set the reminders on there. That's
a good idea.
As a verbal reminder to take the medication at certain times. You can do visual representations of it as well, to visual reminders to take the medications, and approach it not as necessarily a demand, but just as a necessity.
Yeah, because I think there are negotiables and non-negotiables. And, you know, for me personally, it's always down to awareness and education around what medication is and how we understand it as parents, but also how your children understand its importance, its necessity. So I agree with you completely. Medical professionals should always be consulted with anything to do with medication. And the start of that journey is if a medical professional is recommending a type of medication, whether it's ADHD meds or something else, then you as a parent have that responsibility and that duty to learn everything you can about that medication, about the dosage, impact, and asking those questions. If you're not sure, you can contact the charity. We can give you a list of types of questions you should be asking, because sometimes parents can be a bit overwhelmed. There's like, they're recommending my child takes a medication. I know nothing about it. Educate yourself first of all. Learn about this type of medication. Learn about what it does, what it doesn't do, and learn about any potential side effects as well. In relation to this 16-year-old taking it, they are becoming older and more independent. I agree with you. Sometimes they forget. Other times, we've got opportunities where, excuse the background noise, I believe the ice cream truck was passing by there.
No, they are completely out of ice cream. They only play that tune when they've got no ice cream left.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why would they do that, Carl?
just to let you know that they're there, but they're
I
out
don't
of
know.
stock.
And there you have a classic ADHD example of we're talking about one thing, we jump to another.
Yeah, tangents.
But anyway, medication, going back to the medication, if you didn't hear that noise in the background, then that's going to be quite strange.
Yeah.
If the young person has forgotten, that's certainly a possibility. So when you are informing them about taking medication, just bear that in mind. I've had a lot of families I've worked with around sensory challenges and how, whether it's solution-based or the tablet-based, they still don't want it because the texture, the taste can impact them in a negative way. Some children have been able to balance the taste out. I mean, there was one child who was willing to take their meds if they were allowed to have a certain type of Lucozade. So having those conversations with your child or having a family support consultant, someone who is working with that child alongside, if the parent is concerned about the back and forth challenge with them, you can have a third party engage with them in a conversation. But the child can lead you into solutions and ideas on what would help them take the medication. If it's a sensory challenge, if it's whether they've forgotten or not, always liaise with medical professionals. If it creates too much of a conflict and you're concerned about any kind of physical attacks or aggression that might be caused out of you trying to get your child take the medication, what I would suggest is that you log that behavior. Don't do anything to escalate it, but just make the medical professionals aware that they're not taking the medication. Journal it, absolutely. And approach those conversations. I liked your Alexa idea. I think that was brilliant. Having some kind of external advisory point which comes up on your watch or your phone or a reminder. So it's not directly coming from you. And there are some, 16 might be a little bit older, but there are also the rewards to, the carrot and the stick, more the carrot in this case, where if a child is taking their medication, then you're making them aware that they get to do more, they have more opportunities. It's something I know that I've looked into a lot more this over the years, because even though my son's got a diagnosis of autism, screening of his dyslexia with I'm going to get the diagnosis sorted for that because you've got to pay for that nowadays. Yep. But also with his ADHD, pursuing the diagnosis there, I'm learning a lot more about education and a lot more about medication and educating myself about that and seeing how the benefits of it to assist with the focus and such could be beneficial. But if you are having challenges and you don't know where to turn and you feel like you've listened to all these ideas and you've tried them all, then you can have a one-to-one consultation. We've met young people before. We've had those conversations. We've been able to help that system continue at home. We've even had social workers contact us, come in, and we've done sessions with the children to get them to take their medications.
Most people have this stigma about social workers that it's a negative thing. It's not. It's just another professional that can come in and potentially help support.
It's a resource. Chances are anyone who ever feels that way is because they used a professional in the past and had a negative experience or a traumatic experience with that professional. Yeah. And unfortunately, or maybe one or more than one of those professionals. I took an email the other day, so someone saying, I'm just battling with everybody. And so I asked the question, who are you battling with? And then I got a breakdown and they told me it was one party. So first of all, we were able to focus that person's attention just on the one person. And then within that one person, what are the specific challenges? What are they saying that makes you feel it's a battle? And then we broke those points down as well, because many people, when they feel they've been trying for a long period of time to get answers and they're not getting those direct answers or those results straight away, it causes a level of distress. And be kind to yourself, parents, and, professionals as well if you're working extremely hard. As long as you're being as clear and as reasonable and as optimistic as possible about wanting to improve this child's circumstances, then you're off to a good start.
Yeah. Again, that, it rings sort of close to home, because going from one setting to secondary school setting for my boy, and we went into that initial meeting with the Senko there, and we were so used to it being challenging. We were ready to sort of, right, now we've got to start this fight with a new setting, and like, we're going to go in there, we're going to tell them what's what. and to have them be like really accommodating and, you know, we're here to help, let us know what you need. It's like, sorry, what?
Yeah.
What? Support? You get support? We weren't prepared for this. Thanks.
There's actually support.
Yeah. Oh, God.
That's a lovely thing to hear when someone is willing to aid you. And
Yeah.
God, the amount of tears over the years where I've said to a parent and some professionals as well, I'm going to help you. I believe you.
Yeah.
You know, we will support you. The flurry of emotions.
So
I make people cry for a living.
You are partially responsible for the rise in sea levels.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the amount of, well, not me, but the charity, in the sense that we support so many families. But I mean, what a massive release it must be for a lot of people when someone is willing to listen to them. I know that you, I remember that we've discussed before about your experience, but I won't carry on with that. Instead, I'm going to ask the final question.
Oh, we've got more questions.
We've got one final question.
Keep them coming.
And this one is around, my child seems to be, I'm just reading this here now, gets quite emotionally distressed and shows quite strong emotions for even just the minor things.
Mm-hmm.
And how do I help my child emotionally regulate so that things to them aren't so intense? Because from what I'm reading here, it's quite a lot of content here, but they're essentially saying that the child is demonstrating quite strong emotions of distress to something that you think might be small. And how do you help that child then emotionally regulate?
So let's take, for example, if it's something sensory, my daughter will react in a way which is seemingly very explosive to strawberry yogurt.
Okay.
The smell of strawberry yogurt, she will explode and she will leave the room and become very overwhelmed very quickly. The way around that is to remove the yogurt. Take the sensory impact away. Obviously, it takes time to know and learn what the sensory impacts are that are dysregulated. It's difficult to manage. More difficult with PDA. So example, my son has PDA and he has transitional difficulties. He doesn't like leaving the house, but we have to leave the house. I don't know where I'm going with this one.
Well, I remember the meltdowns and because the demand was that he would go to school. He would, even when we were trying to get him in the car.
Yes.
And the reaction that he had was such a strong emotion, and then you were trying to support his emotional regulation. But I think the reality is, in that first instance, you have to, I wouldn't say allow the meltdown, be aware that is happening and support that person.
Yeah.
And it's not often about the words you say, it's about the presence that you give.
You cannot stop the meltdowns. You will never 100% get rid of all the meltdowns.
No.
Meltdowns will happen. It's about managing them and to the best of your abilities, and managing the area around you and the sensory impact to limit the meltdowns and minimize the dysregulation, because dysregulation will be there.
Oh, totally. And you don't want to add to it as well, because it can be distressing for a parent to see your child distressed. And then sometimes, I think back to the traditional parentings where there was the old shock and awe moments where a parent would try to be quite stern to prevent that emotional dysregulation, because they generally didn't want to see their child distressed, and might come on quite strict and quite strong, like "don't cry" was a common thing we were told.
Is that sort of inherent learning from their childhood?
Oh, probably, yes. Yeah, there's his generational challenges in terms of understanding meltdowns. But I would say that, let's think about, sensory is definitely going to be one trigger. There's going to be a lot of different triggers. Agenda, I would say, is a strong trigger. Every child has in their mind a perception of the ways things should be, and they have desires or needs or wants that they want to see fully, and when those are blocked, those can cause challenges. So I know some young children who will physically pick or become distressed. I've seen one child sort of put their hands over their eyes and cover their faces, and just because they are, I covered the microphone there when I was speaking, but just the intensity so strong. Now, as a parent, you're thinking, oh my goodness, that seems, all I asked you to do was just pick up your plate. But it's because in their mind, they're still finishing an agenda or processing something, or maybe they made a request that you haven't understood or completed, and they become quite distressed. What you can do is remain consistent and clear. Let them know that you're understanding. Let them know that you're listening. Sometimes you're going to have to put boundaries in, and you're going to have to use phrases if they're older as well. You know, I understand you said this, this, and this. I can make that happen, but I need to do this first and then that second, and explaining the process with them on why helps them understand it. Now, you're right. You're not going to guarantee this stopping the meltdown completely, but what you are doing is you are building an understanding with that child over time, that if you are consistent in your explanations and clear, as they get older, there's more hope. If you're dealing with we were talking about a 16-year-old earlier, if they've had 16 years of a certain style of parenting, that's going to become a lot harder. So, you do the best you can. If you need advice and ideas on how to emotionally help regulate your child, by all means. And sometimes the meltdown can be a huge, massive release, and you might just sit there quietly. You might have to barricade yourself. Some parents have to be away because the child might lash out. As long as you're safe, and as long as you can communicate in a calm tone and a reassurance tone, I'm here, then by all means. I had one kid who, when his parent was about to sanction him, I said, I think I told you the story before, I said, come and give me a hug. And that level of reassurance that child got from the hug ended up, regulating them, because that's what they needed. But it goes against traditional parenting and generation lessons that we've learned. So be adaptable as a parent is the best advice I can give you.
Marco has magic hugs.
Don't worry, my wife actually said that to me once. Actually, when she was, I shouldn't say this on the podcast. She's going to tell me off for this, but sorry, honey.
We got to hear it now. Hannah, just turn your mic up so we get it all.
Oh yeah, get it all. No, she. I remember when we first met, and she told me some news. She was a bit distressed out, and I said, "Oh, come here, I'll give you a hug. I'll make you feel better." Gave a good hug. So yeah. Sorry, my mind drifted into that conversation. I apologize for sharing that personal story.
No, it's fine. It's only going to be shared, but.
I do know we do give a lot of hugs at the community sessions. I don't know if maybe we'll get some feedback from people who've attended those community sessions. If you feel that sometimes having a hug with a team member has made you feel
we'll need
a little
to get
bit
badges, like who likes to be hugged and who doesn't like to.
That's a good idea. So. Yeah, if you'd like a hug.
Yeah. Hey, give me a hug. Give me a hug now. I want a hug. All the hugs. Give me the hug.
Oh, we get a peak therapy animal. We do have a peak mascot. We have we have our peak mascot.
Yes.
So I keep saying llama, and it's not an alpaca, and I'm going to get told off by the owner.
There is a difference, and we're not going to tell you what it is. You must research it yourself.
So thank you very much for your questions. You know what? The great thing about the questions that we've been getting, and I know we always don't get the opportunity to answer those questions, but you can send them to us via emails. You can send them to our community support sessions. You can email them to us in a referral. You can email Carl at media.
Yeah, media at Parenting Empowered Autistic Kids.
Please send those questions through, because it can help you, it can help someone else. And do you know what? If you've got some great ideas as well on anything that we've said, you can put it in the comments of the podcast. But I know we're rounding off now, Carl.
We are starting to round off. Can you just remind the viewers of where they can get more information about how to get involved with EPIC, whether they want to become a volunteer or whether they want to donate to the cause, as it was?
Yeah, so just a little catch up if you missed the beginning of the podcast or you're re-listening to this. We've got a lot of events that are coming up. We've got the SEN events on the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 9th of April. We've got, I think, our next community support session is going to be on the 17th of April, and we've got one in May. I want to say 29th of May, but we'll update that on the next podcast. We've got a quiz night on the 24th. I haven't even mentioned that.
Yeah, we haven't brought that one up.
Is that one in Tuffleys? But yeah, we got a quiz night coming up, organised by a wonderful volunteer, Kay. Before I get into the other bits and pieces, I have to do a couple of shout outs. We've had a lovely lady called Karen and her daughter who have come to our community sessions, who bought us a bunch of EPIC mugs They got us all, and they made these wonderful peak cupcakes. So thank you, Karen, for those. And thank you, Kay, who is organising in Tuffley a fundraiser for the charity we're going to do. It's, I think, a £30 per head ploughman's lunch dinner. And we've got capacity for 100 at that quiz night. But Peak's going to have a table there, so we're going to be there. So if you want to join us, you can catch one of our consultants and ask them questions as well, and have fun at the quiz night. But if you want to be involved with our charity and want to support us in any which way, you can either support us with any of those events that are going on. You might have some good ideas that are coming up. We've had an organisation, which I'm not sure if I'm allowed to announce yet or not, but they have very kindly offered, they've started up a family business, and they have offered to donate proceeds from those sales of those products to the charity. So we're really grateful for that. So yeah, if you represent an organization and you want to support the charity in some way, and thank you to that organization, let me know if we're officially allowed to say it out now, but that's coming up. And yeah, if you're part of an organization that wants to support us, there's sponsorships and things that you can do. We've mentioned Peak Day on the 11th of July. We've got the Parachute for Peak. We're looking for donors there. And, you know, if you wanted to all the companies out there, if you donate £1,000 from your charity, we will wear a banner and do a shout out from you on the skydive as well. And if we hit that 25k, then Carl's with me, so we get double the shout outs.
Yeah, we didn't need to remind everyone.
We kind of do, Carl. We kind of do. Yeah.
That's why the donating page is the goal is 25,000, isn't it?
Yeah. We made it a nice, reasonably high to higher target than last year's Peaks for Peak challenge. I think Peaks for Peak challenge was 10,000 last year, and we surpassed that by we raised about 11,500 just for the one I did, plus all the other ones that everybody else did. But if you want to get involved a variety of different ways, you can email us at contact@parenting-empowered-autistic-kids. And we need that support, because without our community, we wouldn't be where we are today. And that was a big message last week on all our posts. We talked about community and how we've had loads of support. And final thoughts from me. Thank you to all the organisations and all the individuals that have supported us. We recently had BBC interviews, which was great, and the team was on that. Yeah,
we haven't spoken about that. So March was a very busy month.
It was a very busy month. Newsletter is coming out very soon. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to stay in touch with all the activities that have been going on, you can sign up and you can register via the website on our newsletter, and you'll get a copy of the newsletter. I know we haven't got time to go through everything we've done this month, but this charity does an extreme a lot of work, and we need your support to keep that going. So if there's one takeaway from this podcast, if you're listening to it, is if you can help us continue to deliver that high quality support, which is highly needed and many people want, then please do reach out to us.
Amazing.
That's everything from me this week, this month.
Right, so we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah, how's it been for you? You good?
It's been enlightening.
It's been enlightening.
Yeah. I don't know quite where my brain. I'm still procrastinating about what I was trying to talk about before, and my brain just decided, you know what, stop there. But it's been a lot of fun, and we'll do another one.
I can't wait for the other one. Who knows where we'll be next time? You know, we're here, there, and everywhere. But
we're Barbados.
Oh, that wouldn't be too bad. I wouldn't mind a bit of Barbados. Could you use a holiday?
Yeah. Oh my God, couldn't we all?
Thank you very much to all the listeners.
Yep. Thank you very much. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is the Peak Podcast. Come tell your story. Join the